One fine day in the month of May, in an effort to keep the thirst at bay, I thought I'd wander into a public house. Well, it hadn't been long since our last lockdown, as I sat at the bar and looked around, thought there'd be more than this knocking about. So I sat there with an old pint in my hand, just thinking about the state of our dear land. Well, after a while, wouldn't you know, a crowd had gathered outside the door, and a fine big car pulled up there out in the street. I said, "Barman, what's going on? That's the minister, if I'm not wrong. Now that's the last man on earth that I'd like to meet." And the ass kissers, they followed him into the pub. Then he approached me, the fool, to have a word. I said, "You're not welcome here, you bastard, no, don't ever come again." When he stuck out his greasy hand, well, I nearly swung for him. The minute he opened up his mouth, the lies began to spin, and though I tried, I just couldn't ignore the stench of corruption, of greed and incompetence. Well, he sat down in the corner with every woman he tried to flirt. He was surrounded by cronies and men who wear blue shirts. Well, they kissed him and they hugged him, shook his hand and washed his feet. Then a complimentary tray of pints were delivered to his seat. And the ass kissers, they hung on his every word. I just couldn't take it, so I raised my voice to be heard. I cried, "You're not welcome here, you bastard, no, don't ever come again." As he stuck out his greasy hand, well, I nearly swung for him. The minute he opened up his mouth, the lies began to spin, and though I tried, I just couldn't ignore the stench of corruption, of greed and incompetence. Well, I thought at least the barman would have liked to see me win, for his bar was closed for over a year because of fools like him. But to my surprise, all that he said as the mob they gathered around, "Perhaps it's best if you find yourself another pub in this town." And the ass kissers manhandled me out of the pub, but then, before they threw me out, I summoned up my last ounce of strength and cried, "You're not welcome here, you bastard, no, don't ever come again." As he stuck out his greasy hand, well, I nearly swung for him. The minute he opened up his mouth, the lies began to spin, and though I tried, I just couldn't ignore the stench of corruption, of greed and incompetence. Well, one fine day in the month of May, when the minister to our town did stray, I took it upon myself to make a one-man stand. I realised fast, I must confess, why our country is in this mess. There's more crooks up in the Dáil to beat the band, or the ass kissers wouldn't have it any other way. So plough ahead, minister, tax my life, my house, my pay. But still you're not welcome here, you bastard, no, don't ever come again. As he stuck out his greasy hand, well, I nearly swung for him. The minute he opened up his mouth, the lies began to spin, and though I tried, I just couldn't ignore the stench of corruption, of greed and incompetence. Surely we can do better.